What's up, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the F1 Gridlock podcast. My name is Nathan Charles, and I'm here with my co-host.
Chase Boss.
How you doing, Chase?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited for the new season. How about you?
Me too, man. Me too. That first race was very, 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 very good. I'm a little disappointed Max couldn't pull it out in the end there, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. All right, so for this first episode, we're gonna just kind of go over what the format is going to look like for this podcast. Just gonna give you a rundown of what we're going to be talking about each race. We're going to try to get one of these podcasts done for every race. So this one is coming a little late after the first race in Bahrain, and then we'll do another one after this next race in Imola. So we're going to do just a quick one word description of how we thought the race went. I'll go through a little race rundown to see who finished where. And then we're each going to pick our driver of the day. We're each going to pick our team of the day. We're going to do a little worst of the weekend, a little segment I like to call. And then we'll just finish with any closing thoughts we have. Sound good, Chase?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Chase. So why don't you start us off with your one-word description of the race?
I'd have to go with fascinating. Just every turn had something going on, you know?
Totally agree. I totally agree. That's very similar to my word, which I had written down, but now I forget where I wrote it. But I'm pretty sure it was exciting. It was exciting. I think this first race hopefully is going to be the first of many exciting races. And honestly, I cannot wait for some more.
If the other races follow the same format, it's going to be a great season. Just the concept of more teams are fighting for the top positions. That's what we want.
Exactly. That's what we want. Let's do a little race rundown here. First place, Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. Second place, Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. Third place, Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes. Fourth place, Lando Norris in the McLaren. Fifth place, Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. Sixth place, Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. Seventh, Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren. Eighth was Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. Ninth, an amazing drive from Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri. 10th, Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin. 11th, Kimi Räikkönen in the Alfa Romeo. 12th, Antonio Giovinazzi, again in the Alfa Romeo. 13th, Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. 14th for George Russell in the Williams.
Right.
15th for Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin. 16th is Mick Schumacher in the Haas. 17th, Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri. 18th, Nicholas Latifi in the Williams. And 2 DNFs in this race with Fernando Alonso and Nikita Mazepin.
My Google's telling me 4 DNFs. Gasly and
Latifi?
Latifi.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. I guess they must have gone farther, so they...
Maybe they got lapped twice and then got DNF'd.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so, Chase, give me your driver of the day and let me know why.
I mean, it's really no surprise. It's got to be Sergio Perez. You could argue that he got saved by the safety car, which did help him a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Even still, starting pit lane to 5th on his first Red Bull debut, that's good. That's a good race for him. And it was out of his hands, too. It wasn't like he did something that made him start from the pit lane. It was just bad luck.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, clearly, Sergio Perez had a great race. Obviously, starting from the pit lane, making it all the way back up to 5th. But, and here's the reason I didn't pick him, is because it's a Red Bull. That car's fast. We know it's one of the fastest in the... He should be up in 5th. I understand, it's great that he started from so far back and was able to get up there, but that's where he should be in the first place. So I'm not giving... I give him a ton of credit. I don't give him as much credit as I do my driver of the day, Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, interesting.
I think obviously like it's tough to compare him to his teammate Pierre Gasly in this race as he didn't
Yeah,
finish. I think he got hit by Vettel and was it kind of out of his hands, and he was probably going to do pretty well.
yeah.
But the I mean, he just drove so well. Like
Hmm.
this kid is going to be very, very good for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
He's on the fast track to Red Bull. I understand like Sergio is probably going to be there for a season or two,
yeah.
but as soon as like I don't think Max is ever going to leave Red Bull,
I
but as
hope he
soon as
doesn't.
as soon as like Yuki is like close to Perez's level, which I think he's like already way too close for a rookie.
Yeah,
I I think they're gonna swap him. I think they're gonna put Sonoda in that seat as soon as he's ready.
yeah,
Um, and to score points, to score 2 points on your first drive in Formula One is an incredible feat. And I don't know if you were able to hear like his team radio, but he was like so nonchalant about it
yeah.
because
He
he
thought he
he's like
thought he didn't do good enough.
yeah, he thought he didn't do well enough. It's like that's insane. That is
Yeah,
insane. A midfield team uh, and a brand new driver scoring points, and he's just like, well, I could have done better. It's like, come on, this
I
kid is
think
gonna be so good.
I think he's got the drive to be up there, but this is a prediction. He's going to stay at AlphaTauri for like another year or two. Then they'll bring him into Red Bull. They want him
I agree.
trained because I don't think they want an Albon Gasly again, where it's shove them in the Red Bull. Oh, they're not ready, kind of ruining their career. We don't care.
We don't care. Yeah, Red Bull has a nasty habit of doing that with their young drivers, just kind of
Yeah,
pushing them in when they're
it
not
it
ready.
worked out for Verstappen, and then they were like, "Wait, this is a thing we can do."
There is only one Max Verstappen,
Hmm.
but Yuki Tsunoda is going to be very, very, very good.
Yeah.
I already can see he's not Max Verstappen. He's just not. And I
No,
think it's
it's
totally
hard to
unfair to
be a Max Verstappen.
it's
It's
hard it's
not.
impossible. It's
Yeah,
impossible. You're not going to be it. But Yuki Tsunoda is going to be very, very good.
yeah, I 100% agree. I think he's one of the ones. Like, if we look at the midfield teams and who's on them, I think out of all the midfield teams, excluding Russell, that's clear where he's going eventually.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
he's the one to look out for because we've got the rookies and the ones to look out for are now on the good teams like Norris, right? Or
Hmm.
like Sainz or Perez. Uh, and then you go to the mid pack and you've got mainly, if I'm being honest, rookies and like last people on their last leg, right? A good example is Raikkonen and Vettel. They're not being terrible, but they're on their way out. It's clear. We all know this. So I think he's definitely the one in the mid pack that I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. All right, Chase. Give me your pick for the team of the day.
Oh man. See, there's a lot of good choices, but for me, it's McLaren. McLaren
Mm.
just said, we're not a mid pack. We're getting fourth and seventh. Like we're in we're there right now, right? I and obviously you can't necessarily control that as a team to per se, if you know what I mean. It's up to the drivers, right? It's mainly car and then drivers and such. But they're one of the teams that I'm going to be looking at this year. If they keep this up, I'm excited for them.
Definitely, definitely. Uh, McLaren obviously was on my radar, but I'm
Mhm.
going to have to give it to Ferrari this weekend. I
Really?
understand that it's Ferrari and they want to be fighting for wins. They want to be in the top four. They want to
Hmm.
be in the top three. But sixth and eighth is so much better than what they were doing just last
Yeah.
season. Just
Hmm.
last season. Charles Leclerc is constantly getting more out of that car
Yeah.
than he should be, really. And I think that just goes to show how good Leclerc is and will be for the future of Ferrari and how important he will be for that team. But
Oh
Carlos
yeah.
Sainz coming in eighth in a new car, in a car that's not that great. He's
Yeah.
definitely in a worse car than he was last year.
Oh
Coming in
yeah.
8th is not so bad. It's not too
No,
bad.
it's not bad. It's points.
So I think exactly it's points. So I think Ferrari is going to be happy with this weekend, and I think they're going to be. I think I I do. I don't necessarily. I'm a Red Bull guy. I think Red
Same.
Bull's definitely Red Bull or McLaren are probably my favorite teams. But I want to live in a world where Ferrari and Red Bull and Mercedes are all fighting for a championship, and I think this is a great step on their process of rebuilding.
I think a good tack on is McLaren there. Like we saw it this weekend, 4 teams fighting for the constructors. That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be
Yep.
like every race, things could change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, Chase. Let's get to the bad stuff. Time
Yeah.
for the segment I like to call Worst of the Weekend.
Oh
Chase,
yeah.
what was just the worst about this weekend?
Clear. Vettel. And it sums up, I hate to do it, but it comes down to the why did he change his line? He didn't change his line.
Yep.
He
Yep.
didn't change his line. And like
Yep.
I understand he's driving a car that you and I could never drive, right? We're talking milliseconds and then processing it and then anger because but even still, it's Vettel. He has what, 4 championships? Come on. I mean, I hate to do it, but he was lapped and he just immediately was like, why did he change his line?
Yeah.
It was a clear choice for me. There was no other person that I was like, yeah, but them. Nope. Like, even though Haas didn't do too hot this weekend, that's understandable. They're rookies, very, very young rookies. We're not talking about rookies with Vettel. We're talking, he go back 5 years, debated as one of the best in the sport, right?
Yep. Yep. You're right.
And it was just pain. It was pain to watch it. I hate to do it, because it's Vettel,
Yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree with you. But I kind of knew you were going to say that, so I went with another pick.
Yeah, that's
And
fair.
I really hate to be the guy while he's so down, but Nikita Mazepin just
It was pain.
didn't get touched. He
Yeah.
didn't get shoved off the line.
No.
Like he just
Yeah.
drove it into the wall.
Yeah.
And for somebody who he placed 5th in F2. He's got a lot of racing experience. He's definitely like got something to prove. Like he's like, even his F1 career starts out kind of rocky with the whole scandal thing, and then like, his dad is putting a bunch of money into Haas, and it's like this guy so badly wants to deliver, and it's just like Haas is going to be at the back of the grid, right?
Yeah,
that's just clear. We kind of just know that. They have 2 rookie drivers. They're already a small team, but this year they're going to get some money, but they're going to be at the back of the grid. Yeah. Hey man, take it a little bit easier.
Yeah, like
maybe don't gun it and shove it into the wall. Like I understand again. Back to what you said about Vettel is these guys are driving cars we can never drive, but he has so much experience. It's like you got to cooler heads must prevail, and for Nikita that clearly was not the case. Was not the case.
To step in here, you're not oversighting this, but I want to say it for the viewers. These cars are insanely challenging to drive. Absolutely. But like you said, it's not like he went from a Fiat to F1. He worked his way up, at least somewhat, right? And then to expound on your choice, it is what makes it painful is that it was him. It was 100% him. It was no one else. And that's what makes it the most painful for Mazepin.
Absolutely. All right. You mentioned it, but this is something that I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Last year's Red Bull driver, Alex Albon.
Sorry, you cut out
I
there.
believe.
What was that?
Alex Albon. I want to talk about Alex Albon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Last year, obviously has not a great year, not a bad year, but definitely not a great year. Not enough to keep his seat. He loses his seat to Sergio Perez. He's
Yeah,
now, I believe, he's still the Red Bull
reserve.
uh, reserve driver.
Mhm.
Is there, in your opinion, a path back to Formula One for him?
Now, I don't know. I need to rewatch the 2020 season, right, and kind of analyze him. I don't know whether there's a path back, but I want there to be.
Yeah,
Because the story of Albon goes doing great, right? Doing great, rising through the Red Bull, gets signed on AlphaTauri his first year. Halfway through the season, they say, nah, fam, you're going to Red Bull. Switches his car, switches everything. He goes from AlphaTauri to now this beast of a car. And he does pretty, he could have done better, but he didn't do bad. And then
yeah.
he
That
spends a
that second half
year.
of the season was pretty good.
Yeah, and then he spends a year in 2020. And now he's out of the sport. That's I just don't feel like that's I it doesn't need to be fair, right? But I don't feel like it is fair. I'm not saying
Mm,
things need to be fair in this world, but my point is it's you give him the world for a brief amount of time and then judge him on it rather than like say what we want about Max, right? Max is a phenomenal racer, right? He didn't he didn't have that kind of path to Red Bull. He had his time at AlphaTauri and he's Max, right? And I think they're kind of trying to find their next Max. And then because Albon underperformed in 2020, right? They
he
obviously
did.
unsigned him, and that's
He did.
fine. I'm not saying that he needs to be in Red Bull. I'm just saying I think he deserves to be in the sport. I think he was one of the ones I was excited for and then disappointed about, if you know what I mean.
I do. I know what you mean. Um, I agree. I think I I I tend to disagree with your point that they that Red Bull were kind of looking for their next Max Verstappen. I don't think Red Bull
Well,
is that naive. Do you know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
think
let
they
me
understand.
expand.
I think
That's a
they understand
missay.
how. I think they understand how special Max Verstappen is, and that nobody's ever really gonna be him again. There might be,
Yeah.
in a few years or
Well, let me
something. But
clarify then. I didn't
sure, go
mean
ahead.
they were looking for their next Max. I'm saying they're comparing to Max, and they're comparing like how good he is and how fast he became good, right? And all this.
Hmm.
And so they're trying to boost him up, boost other people up next to him, but they've got this warped point of view because they did it with Max, right? And they understand he's leagues above everybody else. They're not, like you said, they're not naive. But it's hard for them, I think. We saw it in 2019 especially. It's hard for them to like grasp that it's going to take some time to get a good racer next to Max. You can't just pull a Max and throw him in the seat and have him competing with Daniel within a couple years, you know?
Yeah. So back to Albon.
Mm-hmm.
This I his path back is pretty hard, in my
Yeah.
opinion, because
Mm-hmm.
I think that he really doesn't have a shot uh, at getting back at Red Bull
Yeah, I think
based
Red
on
Bull's
how
pretty
things
much
are
done.
right now. Based on how things are right now, I think this is kind of how I have always seen his potential path getting back to Formula One would be either
Mm-hmm.
either one, he leaves the Red Bull program completely and signs for another team after, we've got Kimi Raikkonen will probably be retiring in the next few
Yeah.
years. We've got uh, Fernando Alonso also retiring in the next few years.
Yeah. Vettel, if it keeps it up, I don't think Vettel's
Vettel,
going to want to stay in if this is a running theme.
I agree. I tend to agree. That we can talk about Vettel in another episode.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but I think potentially Pierre Gasly leaves AlphaTauri and signs for another team.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Most likely Alpine.
Mm-hmm.
Once Fernando Alonso has officially retired. Um, he could come back to AlphaTauri. I don't think he'll want to come back to
Yeah,
AlphaTauri. I don't think I think if you know, I love Daniel Ricciardo to death. He's no spring
yeah,
chicken.
yeah,
If Albon is able to hang around long enough, perhaps perhaps a McLaren bid, perhaps something
yeah.
else. Um, I can't see him ever going back to Red Bull
I don't think he will get. If he goes back to Red Bull, it's not the Red Bull. It's AlphaTauri that he goes back to.
for sure. For
I
sure.
think what I'd like to see is something like you said, where we're talking about the old timers, and then he weeds his way into one of those teams and just drops Red Bull. Uh, and then you never know what could happen. We've got teams like Ferrari and McLaren and Mercedes, right? That could be in the next couple of years looking for new youngins, right? Not that I'm saying Daniel Ricciardo is going to be pushed out, but like, let's say Ferrari doesn't like Sainz, right? For whatever reason, they don't like Sainz. They're going to need to
Sure.
replace him with somebody, right? And
Do you think they
currently,
would go? Do you think they would go for a failed Red Bull driver though?
I'm not that soon, but my point is they're going to have to pick from the mid pack, which leaves
Oh,
seats
leaves.
open,
Sure.
right? And and
Well, that's interesting. I like that.
yeah, and then like I don't know much about Bottas, right? But
Yep.
he said he's being more selfish this year. I completely respect that. But like from my understanding, Bottas is a safe driver. What if Mercedes doesn't want a safe driver, right? What if they want that George Russell? So then George Russell gets pushed up, right? Leaving Williams open. And there's these we're gonna see a lot of pushing up, I think.
I tend to agree. I think I think we're maybe a season or two off from it happening, but
Yeah, definitely.
I think if Mercedes isn't careful, somebody's going to grab George Russell out from underneath him. I really
Oh yeah.
do. I really
George,
do.
he's one of the people I'm excited for. I've always been excited for Russell.
I agree. I mean, 14th in a Williams. Come
Yeah.
on, that's really
Yeah.
good. That's really good. And
Outplacing Vettel? Like,
he's constantly getting into Q2 with it in qualifying as well.
yeah.
With
He's
that,
pulling that car like Leclerc is pulling the Ferrari.
would oh, this is good. Here's a little debate. Um, who's the better driver, Charles Leclerc or George Russell, right now?
Right now, Leclerc. Sorry. Like,
Really?
Russell's good. Williams is
Okay.
holding him back, but I don't think he's as good as Leclerc. I think Leclerc is probably top three, if not three, top four in the sport right now. I think he is. I think he's being held back by his Ferrari. Because I think if Ferrari could get their handle on stuff, right, we would see Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari randomly throughout the top three. I don't think it would be double Mercedes top three if Ferrari could get their handle on stuff and let Leclerc go crazy.
I tend to disagree with you.
Really?
I don't want to take away the fact that Charles Leclerc is an excellent driver.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fantastic driver,
Mm-hmm.
and he's getting a lot of that out of that Ferrari. But George Russell is getting so much out of his Williams. It's ridiculous. We got to see one race of what George Russell would look like in a championship winning car, and he was
That's
going
true.
to win.
That's true. Mind
He
you,
he
I
was
personally
going to
haven't seen
win
that race.
in a car that he had never driven before.
Yeah.
He was going to win.
Yeah. Now, to tack on to that, just not that I disagree with you, but to counterplay you here,
Sure.
you like to chalk up Mercedes car as being insane, right? Like we were talking the other day about how I think Lewis, no matter how you slice it, is one of the best in the sport, if not the best, right? And you were
Yes.
like, yeah, I hate to say that because I want to blame it all on the car, right? Not to take
I do.
away from George Russell, but like I said about Bottas, and not to keep picking on him, right? But I personally wouldn't put him in the top 10 right now. Drivers.
Ooh, wow. Okay. All
Like,
right.
and if I did, it would be at the back of the pack at least. I
Sure.
think he's a good driver, but when we look at Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris, Leclerc, Perez, Ricardo, like Sonoda, Russell, like it becomes tough to say, oh yeah, and Bottas, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me
Yeah.
personally, it does.
I think I agree. I mean, obviously the Mercedes is the fastest car on track. It
Yeah,
just is. That's pretty much
it,
undisputed.
yeah, it's clear.
And Max Verstappen is an incredible driver. He's
Yeah,
one of the best the sport has
yeah,
ever seen.
yeah,
That's why he's constantly splitting those two.
yeah,
You know, sometimes even winning,
yeah.
And I actually tend to agree. I think Valtteri Bottas is a mediocre driver
Hmm.
in one of the greatest Formula One cars ever created.
Yes,
And
yeah,
that's why he's third and second sometimes. That's why he's
yeah.
not first, because he's just not as good as Lewis Hamilton.
Well, and
He never will be.
to tack on to that, when we see him go up against Verstappen, right? Verstappen goes up against him like he's driving in a Mercedes. It doesn't look like a Mercedes versus another car. It looks like Mercedes versus Mercedes, right? Verstappen is
Mm,
closing the gap so well that it makes me say, like you said, Bottas is a mediocre driver, right? Like
mm-hmm.
he's consistent. But I have a theory that Mercedes is somewhat afraid of a Hamilton Russell. I think they're
Ooh,
somewhat
you think?
afraid to put Russell there to challenge Hamilton.
I think George Russell would be if we got. I mean, even next season, if we got that switch, I would be glued to the Mercedes.
Yeah,
I absolutely would be, just to
yeah.
see. I totally agree with you on that completely. Should be interesting. Should be interesting. When do you think we'll see that? Do you think we'll see Mercedes moving Russell up next season, the season after that,
I think
or perhaps somebody else grabbing George Russell?
uh I don't think we'll see someone else grab him yet. But if they're not quick on their feet, he will be bought, right? Because, like you said, he is a diamond waiting to be bought by someone who's worth
Mm-hmm.
any while. Even put him in a
Yeah,
mid pack car, because Williams isn't a mid pack car. If we're being honest here, it's not
it's
a mid
not.
pack
It's a back of
car.
the pack car, but he's
Yeah,
making it a mid pack car.
exactly. I would like. I want it to be next season, and I think it might be. I think this season, with like looking at Norris to Bottas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Close to 10 seconds off. But that's 10 seconds and Bottas is driving a Mercedes. You know? I think I think Mercedes is going to get tired of Bottas being this consistent staple and they're going to want something more from him. I think what's holding them back is the fear of pushing Russell up too fast or the fear of what we saw with Ferrari when it was Leclerc Vettel, where it's this Vettel was supposed to be the main driver, but Leclerc was like,
Yeah,
"Hey, I'm
but
really good."
Leclerc was like, yeah,
I
we
think
could be seeing.
we could see that with Russell and
I
Hamilton.
agree. I agree. All right, Chase. I think we're getting to the end here.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts? Any closing thoughts? Anything?
Uh
Any bold or brash statements you want to make concerning any predictions for this next race? Anything else?
I think Sonoda is going to be better than Gasly this year. Uh,
Oh, okay,
that's just my prediction, and that's not off of this race. That's off Sonoda, right?
sure.
Uh, I think Vettel is going to do what he did this race for the season, right? I think he's going to be in the teens, in the late teens, right? Uh, then not any more predictions, just hope that we see races like this again, right?
I agree.
Like
I agree.
Verstappen and Hamilton almost 40 seconds above everybody else. That's insane, you
Yeah.
know? Like they were
Yep.
so far ahead that Bottas pitted for what, a third time just to get the fastest lap.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think?
I just had my second. I had an what's not a runner up, but like an honorable mention for worst of the weekend. I think that
Hmm.
um, Alpine had a very very bad weekend. Fernando
Hmm.
Alonso, DNFing obviously, and
Yeah,
um, Esteban Ocon finishing 13th. Obviously, that means no points.
Yeah.
That's not a great start, and I
No.
don't think it's going to get much better for Alpine.
Yeah.
Something changed in the team. I know there was some switch up with the management with Ciro Beatable, and they get a new driver. But if
Alpine
this
was not to cut you off,
Renault,
but Alpine was a Racing Point, right?
no, they were Renault. They
Oh, they
were
were
Renault.
Renault. Ooh,
Yeah,
that's not good.
Aston Martin is the new Racing Point, but
Okay.
Renault was fighting for fourth
Yeah.
or fighting for third, excuse me, last season. I
Yeah.
do not think they will be doing the same this season. I don't think we will see them fighting for fourth or anywhere near. Um, I think actually the new challenger for fourth is actually going to be AlphaTauri. I think we'll see Ferrari,
I could see
McLaren, and
that.
AlphaTauri fighting for that third place in the constructors. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I think so. I hope it's McLaren. I love Ferrari, don't get me wrong. But like if McLaren got third and it was close, kind of third, right? That starts cementing them back in what they want to be cemented in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that just the fact that unfortunately, like it's a fortunate and unfortunate thing. I think it's Mercedes or Red Bull is one. Number one. I just don't think anyone can challenge them.
I agree.
Like you said, Perez getting to fifth with his car, right? And Verstappen going 40 seconds close above the next Mercedes. Is Red Bull's attacking hard this year.
Mm, okay. All right. Chase, give me a prediction 1, 2, and 3 for the next race at Imola. What do you think?
Ooh, it's a new track, isn't it?
We raced it last year.
Oh, did we? Okay.
Yeah, but it was not a staple of the lineup before then.
Okay. I don't know if this is necessarily a prediction, but more of a hope. I think it's I think it's Hamilton Verstappen, unfortunately again, right?
Yep.
But the hope is the part that I want to see Norris third. I just want to see
Okay.
Norris fighting Bottas, right?
Got it.
What about you?
I'm thinking Lewis number 1, Max number 2, and I think Sergio Perez is going to have a good weekend and
Oh,
come in
yeah.
third. I think he's going to get a podium.
I could
That's what
see
I think
that.
for sure.
Like you said,
All right.
if he didn't start from the pits, where would he have been, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, Chase. I will see you after this weekend.
Yeah. All right.
Have a good one.
Peace.